SPMP サイドストーリーくんねちぷ。
Previous overview. My sister came home with my mother. I was amazed by what I heard from my sister about the events in Hankanikoden. And when I made eye contact with my mother, I heard the voice of my mother's heart. My mother was happy to see my sister back, but what was the meaning of the voice in her heart that I heard from my mother? He's waiting. He's waiting. Does my mother's words mean that she is going to pick up my father? But isn't it dangerous to go to Hankanikoden now? What will happen to the story of everyone going to Odinupkoden together? As I was thinking about this, the voices of men from outside echoed in the room again. When we all went outside, there were many people gathered in front of the house again, and when they saw my sister, they yelled at me and I was very scared. My sister and I walked right into the room, but we were both shaking from fear. My sister hugged me and listened to the voices coming from outside. My sister listened to the conversation coming from outside. Her expression gradually changed to a surprised expression, and she began to cry with tears. At this time, I heard the voice of my sister's heart for the first time. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. My sister kept repeating these words. We hugged each other and waited for my mom and grandma to come back. After a while, when it was quiet outside and my mother and grandmother came back to the room, my sister surprised us by wiping away her tears and saying, "I want to talk to everyone." My sister is very angry. My mother seemed to understand what was going on with my sister, but she waited for everyone to calm down and took her to the observation tower the next morning. When the mothers went to the front of the observation tower, many people gathered. As I stood a little further away, some men started pointing at my sister and saying something. Then my sister took a few steps forward and stood in front of everyone, and I was surprised again. Isn't my sister scared? But the next moment, the people who had been making noise suddenly became quiet. When my sister started talking about what had happened in Hankanikoden, everyone listened quietly, but I was determined not to offend her at that time. Even after my sister finished speaking, the people around her remained silent and did not want to move, so my mother returned home with my sister by the shoulder. I don't know if everyone was convinced. However, when we returned to our room, we were confused by another surprise. My mother told us that she was going to Hankanikoden. My sister was crying and holding my mother still. But Mom hugged us and left the room. Nothing could be done. All I could do was hug my sister and cry. That evening, when we were spending time together, two men from yesterday came to visit and began to consult with my grandmother. There seems to be something confusing about it. They were talking about how more and more people were going to Odinupkoden with us, and that this would not be a temporary evacuation and that it would be too conspicuous. Besides, there is no mother here. Will Grandma go with us? In the midst of all their anxiety, their story suddenly came together. In the end, it was decided that only me and my sister would evacuate, and that we would move after dark that day. And we walked away from the Palakoden, in the dark. Today's story ends. The story is updated tomorrow. Please look forward to. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. See you again.